Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Turn Right Machine Works. My name is Keith, and we're here at the K&T. We actually were going to start setting this up. We were going to set up this bar here square. We were going to shim this little piece right here because there's a weld on this side here. And I was going to set these up, and we were going to start coming in and machining on here. What are these? Well, these are a pair of motor mounts for a big block. I had a customer come in here, and I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe we took a big block and we dropped it in where a small block goes, and then we put headers on it and all this performance, and now we need clearance for the headers, and we need to raise it up just a little bit so that the oil pan clears on the steering cross arm, but we need more space. So what we're doing is we're actually going to increase it by 1/4 inch. At first we were playing around with 3/16, then we said 3/8, and it come right into the middle because we also have a certain amount of clearance for the transmission against the firewall. I was promised that we'll be able to see this collection of good stuff all together in this one car here. There was a couple different options going, and I was first thinking of going ahead and zeroing in and creating a 1-inch radius with the hole where I want, and then weld that washer shape into here. And now I have actually realized, and I went in and I took measurements of where that hole is now, where that hole wants to be, and then I took a piece of manila paper, put a fold in it, held it up here, took my square so that I could have a straight reference line right there, traced out my ear, and then went ahead and followed that line, came down exactly the height we want to, and then I trimmed off the fold down here so that it actually protrudes up, and now we have a chingadero that I'll be able to cut out of here, and it'll be the pattern for our build up here. So I'm going to weld in that hole, and I'm going to weld this surface over the top of here, and I'm going to put the material where I need to be. Alright, now this is a motor mount, and it is sandwiched with some kind of flexible rubberized material in between here. We need to do all of this welding without melting this piece out. This was an iffy thing. And I says, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try a few different techniques to see if we can weld the ears and keep this thing cold enough to where we're not going to disrupt that and come out with a finished product. So why don't you come along on the journey here, and we're going to see what we can do. Alright, I'm going to cut out this pattern, and then we got our first one prepped on the ears, and we've got a station set up in there to weld on it, and we'll get going. That's the amount we'll be welding on, and we'll be filling in that hole. Then we'll come back in here and we'll set it up just like we had planned on coming in here, and we'll just have to drill the one size hole for the bolt that actually bolts this into the framework of the vehicle. Okay, I think we're pretty well ready in here. I've taken my small drill vise that I love to have in here at the welding table, and I've had to clean a lot of splatter and a lot of goo and a lot of slag and a lot of other things off of it, but it's really handy to have a nice drill press vise in here for welding. And what I've done here is I've clamped in one of my big Bessie clamps, and this is a giant block of aluminum, because I'm thinking, how am I gonna keep that heat away from that rubberized area, or that vulcanized area, whatever you want to call it, in on this mount. Aluminum, it draws heat. It just will suck the heat right out of just about anything. It's hard to keep it preheated and heated on heavy weld joints when you're trying to do welding and stuff on it. So I'm going to use it to actually draw the heat away from my part. And I also got a small pair of vice grips here so that I can quickly clamp it, and then I have a pail of water, 5-gallon pail of just clean water down here on the floor, so that I can just dip it real quick if I need to. And I'm going to use a pair of vice grips to hold that in place here. And I'm going to clamp it on the outside surface here first. And I'm going to shoot for the inside of those holes. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in that hole on the inside. Now I don't know if I'll be able to do that in one setup or not. I'm going to kind of look at it. Now I know that these things mount on an engine and they can handle a couple hundred degrees, but much more than that we don't want to attempt it. So I'm going to be feeling out how much heat they can. They have a light coat of paint, and I think I'm going to be watching, subconsciously I'm going to be watching that paint area and making sure that I'm not burning paint. Probably be one of the first things that I'll actually be paying attention to. Alright, so before I fire up the welder and everything else, I wanted to explain to you how I'm trying to get through this job. And this is the most difficult part, is put the weld beads on there, build up the surface that I want to. I'm going to hand sand it and shape it. I'm not going to do any machining work as far as making the thickness or web. The only machining that's going to be is poking that hole in the right position in relationship to this face here and this face here. Alright, now let me flip on the welder. We have our chingadero here ready to measure up when we start building up that outside. If we have a problem with this burning up, I'll go put it on the scanner and we'll go cut ourselves out one on the plasma cam if we need to. But I think we'll be able to hold it up and take a look at it between cooling downs and things like that. So that's ready, and get some gloves. I think we're going to be using the 332 tungsten here. Now I'm not going to try to bring in and create weld shots and things like that throughout this process, but I'm going to give you glimpses of just how much welding and cooling down and how that's working out on this process here, just because I don't want to lose control of my temperature on here and sacrifice it for a video. Alright, I got my helmet, and we're going to be using ER70 TIG wire. Now the air gets glowing pretty good there. The aluminum does suck a lot out of there. Light color, all right. That was actually one weld ring right around there. Let me see if I can bring that in close enough for you to actually see. See that? I can put my hand, that's how much cold sucks out of that. Alright, let's get this back up in here. Okay, now I was pretty confident that I wasn't getting too much heat and that this really is working, because I made a second pass on here and I just dipped this in and I can still touch this. So this is really sucking it out, and I was able to fill that hole from this inside on my second weld bead. Alright, and it's a little shallow over here, And we'll sand this side here with one of my big discs where I get in there and get that surface cleaned off flat. And then we'll hang this down and we'll fill in on the outside. But we're going to go over to the other side. We're going to do exactly the same thing we did on this side here. This is actually working a little better than I anticipate. I can actually touch the mount on the center. It's warm, and come in right next to that right there with my fingers, right next to the wall bead, 1001 or so. I can hold my finger to it. This is amazing that it can suck that much out of there. Okay, I'm not going to dip this one. I'm dabbing that weld right there. Okay. Now I'm going to take a picture of this so you can actually see right down into it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and fill that in now. Okay, and we will dip it now because we're gonna handle it. That's filled in. You know, when they make this thing, there's rubber surface all around this thing right here, and that the rubber skin is still sticking on there as well, and there's no coloration on the paint there. Pretty nice. All right, we're gonna blow all the water off of here. No heat. Now that side there, we filled that one almost flush. This was our first one. We were staying away from it a little bit, and it's down in there a little ways. All right. Now we're gonna take the wire wheel and we're gonna wire wheel that side, and we're gonna sand that side so that it'll go flat against the surface when we clamp it down. The more surface you have there, the more that aluminum is drawing away the heat. Okay, we just finished sanding the inside, wire wheel on the outside. All right, I just came up with a brainstorm, and we went ahead and we went ahead and brought both of our mounts to the same level of completion here. They're all welded dressed on the inside, and we're holding it here. I got the chingadero here, and we're gonna take and we're gonna slip the chingadero under the ear. We're gonna hold it in place, and we're gonna scribe on that aluminum around the chingadero here. This will give us an outline how far we want to go ahead and build this weld out here. All right, now we're going to hold this up in place here, and of course we're going to have to do this on a right and a left, but you can see that area right in there is the area that we're going to be building up from here to here, because that quarter inch is off of this angle here, so the quarter inch is actually relatively in this direction here, up in this direction. So we want to maintain that material around that ear right there for that cross bolt pin, whatever it is that holds the mount in place. Okay, we scribed out a left and a right in those two spots. Now we're clamping close to the edge here because it's comfortable for us to weld on this side. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to fill and smooth off the outside of all these ears, and then we're going to work on that shape that we have to add on. That's how amazing. All right, so we were able to build that up all the way flush. All right, now we'll do the same thing on this side here. Okay, get on to the next one here. Okay, we're getting ready to fill in, add on. We're filling in this drawing, which comes all the way out to here, and we'll radius in around here. Now, I'm just starting from filling in all those 4 holes, both sides. I'm just starting to actually feel that this block is warmer than the air in the room by about 20-30 degrees or so. So we're going to go a little bit. We're going to keep an eye on this. What we'll do is if it gets too warm, it's not working so well, we'll drop it in a bucket and we'll wait for it to cool down, and then get back at it. So I'm just going to single bead around like that, lay them right there, and then we'll be flipping them over, and I'll seal them in on the other side. Okay, I'm going to cool it down with some air. Little wire brush cleaning up. Temperature check. All right, it's a little bit warm on that back. I think it's going to handle one more pass and then we'll dip it in the water. Okay, right there shows you. So we've added on about 1/8 of an inch here. Okay, a little bit better in that length there, but it's kind of depends on, this is washed in a little bit here. All right, and bring it back out. Okay, we can still see our scribe line there, but no problem. We're halfway there. Okay, we're gonna drop our block in the water. We're gonna cool it down, and then we'll get back to it. Okay, looks like a couple more passes here, and we should be able to flip it over for the other side. I am like right on the scribe line here. I'm just a little bit under, right around the corner here, and I'm on it over here. So it should, I mean, it's like wicked close. We're just going to take it light right there. We're just going to start pouring it in right here. And then we'll just fade it off a little bit right there. All right, add some air. Okay, I'm going to go back and forth, and I'm going to lightly do a quick sealing pass on the top of this. Okay, excellent. Pull that down real fast. Okay, we're gonna dip it. Excellent. All right, now let's lay our chingadero in on the inside here, and we can see a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit all the way around there. That's pretty good. You know, that pretty darn close to what we want right there. Excellent. Okay, we're getting ready for the other side, and our scribe line comes out to here, around here, and then comes back in over here. So we're going to just be, I'm going to be working it from this side that way. All right, here we go. Okay, we're gonna try for one more before we go, and then we're gonna have to re-clean our tungsten here. It's getting a little fuzzy on the end. Okay, take and cool that down. All right, and let's put our chingadero down on here and let's take a look at it. And just like before, the buildup is pretty good here, and it's just around the very tip of that that's lacking a little bit, like right in there. And we'll add one more bead around there, and then we'll seal the top just like the other one. Okay, now we're going to seal it. Okay, now we're going to cool it down. Okay, let's quench it. Okay, both of these are done on the outside. We just need to come in here and seal the inside, shape those, and then we'll come out here and we'll grind a shape that we want on the outside that will match our chingadero here. Both sides. Alright, see a little bit more sticking out on this one here. I was a little bit more generous there. And not bad, you know, you can see it. Okay, let's do the other one, and we'll bring you back in. All right, we sanded the top or the outside on all of these, and we wire wheeled inside here. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to seal the lapping. Right, you know, there's a little valley right there. We're going to be picking up all of those areas so that we're 100% solid. And then we'll sand out this. And we'll take care of the outside peripheral shape. And then we'll take it on into the K&T. All right, so we're just going to hit that inside right now on all four ears. Quick dip and blow it off and hit the next one. Okay, we've sanded these things inside and outside. Look really nice. Now we're just going to try to create the shape. Had to hunt up my chingadero here. And the chingadero will just kind of give us an outline of our shape there. We know that that line stays straight. I like that. All right, that's good there. All right, now we get a flat across the top. Okay, we're just going to eyeball with our chingadero here, just make sure we're on the same angle. Okay, we're a little bit sloped up. And that side shows us the same thing. So we just adjust it. That looks good. That looks good. Little tiny bit of breaking that corner. All right, and the rest of this is just a round edge. Alright, we'll probably just take a little flapper wheel, flat disc, and we'll kind of hit that. It looks pretty good. I like that. Alright, we'll do the same thing to this. Okay, I think we're all set in here, and I think the first thing is, okay, that's our spacer for underneath. We're going to square this up, and we can tighten that down. All right, so now we can locate it this way, but it has this weld down here, and this parallels 1/8 inch, and it can sit on there. And that could be right up against that back area there. And we split the difference. You know, getting something over here, a toe clamp from this position here, is going to be pretty rough. Almost like going into the plasma cam and creating a U shape in here with 2 holes for another set of clamping bolts with T-nuts, and a tail sticking out here to where we can put a 1/4 inch shim underneath there. I think I'll draw it out and go cut it out. Okay, I think just finished dressing it off on the sander. So that'll be holding in there like that. I'm gonna go ahead and get 2 sets of studs and nuts, and we need a 1/4-inch key stock there, and I think we'll be holding that down in place. Cool. All right, we'll have those up there. Here's a couple washers and a couple nuts. And we're gonna go with the 5/16 key back here because we want that to like toe down. Back those up a little bit. All right, I like that. Drop that right there. Hello.
Hey baby, Mom says spaghetti's done.
Okay, wash up and I'll be in.
All right, see you soon.
All right. Hey, that was yummy. All right, spaghetti, sausage, Italian bread. All right. We're holding that back against our straight edge there. And we got the 5/16 in here. This is only 1/4 inch here, so it's like about a 1/16 of an inch of toe clamping difference between the back and the front, which is just enough. We're not having to hold this thing down for hogging. We're just going to be drilling a 468,000 diameter hole. All right, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. It ain't going nowhere. Okay. I got the other one here because what we're going to do is we're going to do that hole, then we're going to slide this off, we're going to put it here, and then we're going to turn our whole rig around so that we're running this way. We'll do the one on the other side. Okay, let's put our edge finder in here because we want to find this edge and the tabletop edge, and then we're just going to add 1/8 to our dimension that we have written down here for the parallel, and bring this one out. Let's see. Let's go. We'll do the back side here first. All right, we're barely going to be fitting in there. Okay. Whoop. All right, it just moved up. We're going to set our 0 there first. Come on back. Head on in. There it kicked. We're at our 0. Okay, we're going to come out. And that 0 will stay there because this is a 1/4 inch dial. So we just go 1 revolution, and now we are center on that. All right, now from there over to center will be 1 inch 875. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and take I just take a dummy line right here on my table, so I can scale it with by eyeball. One, 2, 3, 4. There's an inch. We got an inch. 1, 2, 3 is 3/4, and then we'll take 125. All right, and we said 1875, and we got 1875 by scale. All right, so that's our location in line there. All right, now we're going to go up and down. This dial reads 1/8 increments as far as full revolution. Okay, just starting to touch. And it kicks. Okay. Right there is 0. Back it off. Check it again. Okay, we got 0. Alright. So, two revolutions up. That puts us, we're 0 at the table's edge. In all reality, if you took that out and we put our pointer in, that pointer is going to be equal with the tabletop, and it is. All right. Now from this spot here, we're going to want to drop the table one inch 896 plus an 1/8. Okay, we took our chingadero and we put a punch mark in the middle of the hole, so we were able to go ahead and put that right on here. And then of course we brought that with spring pressure on the tap follower, which let us put that in position. It wiggles just a little bit because it's a little tiny open hole and we got a point on there, but it really lets us know that we are in the right position there, and we wanted to double check that before we poke the hole in with the drill, making sure that our backlash and our feed was all on the dials in the right position, which they are now. All right, and a nice true running drill bit. See that rubber moving around? You know, these pieces were all made before this was put together. We wouldn't want this to be a production, but that looks good so far. We might have been running a little fast on that, but all right, let's hold this up here. Our hole looks good. All right, and boy, that's hot to the touch there. It looks like we're in the center. Excellent. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to back that one out. We're going to run that drill a little slower on the next hole here. but we're going to use the same combination as we just did. We're going to leave that location right there, and we're going to slap the other one right in here. Okay, here we go. We're on the other side now, and I need my wedges. Here they are. I just need one on this one, I guess. Is there one fatter than the other? No? I think that's it. Okay, we're just going to baby it in just like the other one. I'm going to get another wedge because this is wanting to shift it that way. All right, and I hand sharpened this one, just dress the end of it, and I got the speed down. Okay, and we just want to make sure that we're locking that in for moving this. Here we go. I only need 3 hands here. Okay, there we go. Hot chip on the back of my hand. All right. Hey, Chingadero shows we're right on the money. Okay, let's vacuum that area first. Excellent. Okay. Okay, now I don't know if this is going to want to move again, but I'm going to go ahead and set that up in there. That one went in there like that. How you doing, Shanann? Meow. All right. Woohoo! Excellent. That little burr right there is really not making that lay down there good. But we're within about 20 thousandths on that one. Okay. I'm happy with where we're at. I'm actually happy that we're able to do this. And these, I believe, mount to the engine like this, and then this, each side here goes against the frame. And we definitely we've gotten our 1/4 inch of height difference in these now. Hindsight is always 20/20. And for how much flexing and moving around we actually had with these, one, you can tell that the rubber is joined on there really strong, and we didn't break that loose with our heat or anything else. It's holding good. That was a good test on that. But what I would do next time if I was to do another set of these, now that we know that we can add that material out here and modify to a certain extent, we're not going to grow these out beyond safety factors or anything else like that. You know, we're not going to re-engineer the whole thing, but sneaking a little bit of exhaust clearance and tie rod or steering bar under the oil pan, that kind of clearance. But next time I'll take my Chingadero and I'll put it on here and I'll transfer punch that, and then we'll set up a block of aluminum or whatever into the drill press, and then we're just gonna we'll drill that down to where it's locking solid on that part of that side of the rubber. Okay, instead of trying to clamp it down on this side of the rubber and come on through there. You know, each time you do something, you learn a little bit different. And I think we all got a little bit of education on how much that aluminum sucks away from the heat and everything else. So, other than that, pretty happy with the job. Glad to share it with you guys. All right. Now, when Peter comes in to pick this up, I hope to get a shot of the car and the engine. It's a thing of beauty. Share with you, and we'll see if that happens or not. I'll call them in the morning and tell them that they are ready. And so, anyway, till next time, get her done.